certain point in their careers and they're a bit skeptical about certifications. Why do I need a certification? I've done this for years and years, and or maybe I don't agree with some of the ways in which certain bodies of knowledge have been written. Certifications provides another significant opportunity to say, an external party has assessed me and says that I meet their criteria to have this particular award.
Welcome to the Inside Business Analysis podcast. I'm your host, Tanner Jacobs, and today I am joined with Sam Merrick. How are you doing today, Sam?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Tando. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast. I'm excited to have our conversation today. And, I'll just literally jump straight into it because according to your LinkedIn, you have over 15 years of BA experience. Is that correct?
Oh, no, that isn't quite correct. It's more like 12,
okay.
Nearly 13, yeah.
Okay, so almost 15 years. That's still quite a good length, and but not only that, but you were also awarded at one point, or you were a finalist, a BA of the Year finalist in recently. I can't remember what year it was now.
Oh, now you're testing me. I think it was 2021. I could be wrong with that as well.
Okay.
I've seen a few
Cool.
awards go past since, but still got a whole lot. But yes,
so the BA of the Year finalist.
Exactly, yeah. Successful loser of BA of the Year.
That's one way to look at it, but to be named is already a win in my books, I think.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was great to get the nomination.
Absolutely. But also, you also spent some time volunteering for both IIBA and the BCS. And so I say all of this to effectively say that you've been in business analysis for some time, really embedded into it, and you're still kind of giving back to the community as well. What is it about business analysis that's keeping you going like this?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So probably start at the beginning, I guess. So I fell into business analysis by being seconded to a project while I was working for a bank, and it's one of those where it wasn't called a BA role. I was working with other BAs, and I kind of figured that I was doing something that was really similar. So I'd created a backlog. Knew nothing about Agile at this point. I was doing business process improvement. I was doing a bit of delivery alongside that because it wasn't, firm role. Fell into it. I think by the time I realised that I was doing a BA role, I'd actually landed a full-time BA role. And as part of that practice that I became part of, there was this great culture around learning and development. And one of the things that they did at the time was hosted events relating to business analysis. Learning from a community, a business analysis community, and seeing the amount of knowledge and sharing that was going on, it enabled me to kind of grow into that. There's something about paying things forward that I don't know, it's innate within me. And I just want to give back really to other people that are in a situation, they're early on, maybe they're kind of, stuck in a job and they don't really know what they can and can't do and what tools they can leverage. And I think it provides that sort of structure, I guess, when you go to these learning events and you learn from other people or you learn more formally, which we'll get onto in a little bit. I think it's those kinds of things that keeps me involved, keeps me wanting to give back.
Nice.
As much as I can. I'm a dad now, and it can be quite difficult to find time.
Great points there, great experience, and it's good to see that you've been in this journey for a while. The reason I wanted to talk to you today, Sam, is because around the topic of certifications for business analysts and how the power of certifications influences your career journey. And you have attained both the BCS Advanced International Diploma in Business Analysis and the IIBA Certified Business Analysis Professional, or CBAP as it's more informally known as. And both of these are not easy to get, first of all. we're not just talking about like you just did a 3-day course and then you got these things. I was looking into them individually, and like both of them require something like 5 years of experience, and you have to have had other certifications before you can even take them at that level. And and we're talking about with the BCS one, maybe there's 6 or 7 certifications that you have to do before you do the advanced international diploma. First of all, you have to get the diploma first, and then you went for the advanced, and then you got the CBAP, which with the CBAP there was a whole other bunch of requirements around number of hours that you've put into business analysis and all the rest of it. So almost it's fair to say that you've really invested a lot of time and energy and effort into becoming not just certified as a business analyst, as a BCS one, but both camps, BCS and IIBA. I have so many questions, but the first one is why?
Yeah, lots of people always say that. Why? Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's a personality trait. I've got to say. So, my well, I suppose the thing that I most lean towards in my career is what gives me the most learning opportunity, and so that's I'm not just talking about going and doing a certification. I'm talking about the projects I work on, roles I undertake. What's going to give me the most learning, and if I do move, I do it normally because of learning. Obviously, there's the other things that we've got to think about providing for your family and all that sort of stuff that goes along with it, which kind of lower down in the old Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But I think it kind of comes from that. So it might sound strange for me to say because yes, I've done quite a number of certifications, but that's kind of like the tip of the iceberg. That's the bit you see. There's all this other stuff around reading and sharing and learning and mentoring that happens underneath that, and it's there's a whole wealth of stuff that I've done that's oriented around learning as well. But I think again, it comes back to personality. I'm somebody who likes to learn, likes to share, and then through that process, learn even more.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, I love that. I love that, and it definitely it shows. And I love the fact that you're talking about how there's things that you can see, there are things that you can't see. And as I said to you, and I really wanted to point this out because it's easy to see that you have these certifications on your LinkedIn or your CV, but what gets lost in translation that people may not really fully appreciate is just how much investment has gone into this. And so talking about kind of this whole concept of becoming a certified business analyst and the idea of continuously improving and learning, what would you say the role of certification is in business analysis? And I'm thinking that from the perspective of, typically speaking, when you look at BA jobs, they want experience. So where does certification fit in as BAs are planning their careers?
Yeah, so I think it holds a significant opportunity for BAs. What I mean by that is you might be new to business analysis, and therefore there's an opportunity to learn new tools or to learn techniques or I think it's kind of the process, perhaps maybe getting those fundamental things in place to help you to land yourself within that role that you've undertaken, or even if you're an aspiring BA, to learn the tools and techniques and try and job craft that into whatever role it is that you're doing at the minute and get some experience on that. But then equally, there's also those people who can do the BA role for some time, and I came to certifications and I'd been doing it kind of in a very unstructured role at the beginning, and then into a more structured role when I first came across certifications. And it helped me to think about the things that I was doing and restructure that within my head in terms of the concepts that I was thinking about. Obviously I knew about requirements because that was quite a big part of the role. But what I didn't realise is that the modelling that I'd been doing, that could be like similar to a use case, or it could be similar to a data model, and how that fitted in with that kind of requirements analysis aspect. And that formal kind of process, it enabled me to sort of structure my thinking about how I plan my work, think about things I'm not doing, learn from those. So I think that you can learn, and there's a good significant opportunity to learn to structure all the stuff that you're doing if you're in role, or to learn new tools and techniques.
Yeah,
I'd probably add to that actually, if I may. But I think some people might go, okay, well, I'm maybe contracting or maybe looking for a new job. In which case you're kind of on the market, and you go, okay, certifications provides another sort of significant opportunity, that window to say, I'm doing this stuff. I've met a minimum criteria, and so, an external party has assessed me and says that I meet their criteria to have this particular award, and you can baseline that across things, promote your professionalism, and also I suppose to kind of show that you align to a discipline like business analysis. Say, look, I'm a BA, I'm certified as a BA, etc. I think there's also an opportunity for people that are looking for new roles or new contracts as well.
Yeah. So in your career journey, you've obviously done, I guess, permanent employment roles and also contracting roles. How have certifications personally impacted you in that journey?
Yeah, so I've only recently started contracting, but I think that it's still the same answer for me. And the biggest answer, I think, has to be confidence. It gives you, once you're certified, you get that confidence to say, all right, somebody else thinks that I can do this because they've tested me or whatever. And you've got that then ability to be able to leverage those learning structures that you've learned about requirements or strategic analysis or process modeling or solution options and business case and things like that you learned within the kind of the core sort of business analysis type learning modules. You can go, right, I'm somebody that is confident in that I know what to do. It gives you those opportunities. But I think also what it's done for me personally is it's enabled me to be quite flexible with how I approach things. In some ways, a bit creative, to be able to pick and choose how I do things, to maybe leverage some of the new techniques that I'm learning and get experience in it, the learning, and share that with other people, and say, hey, I approached it in this way because I learned about this thing. I've tried it out, and this is what I learned from it. And then you might get somebody else say, oh, I've never thought about that, or maybe even go, well, yeah, it did work or it didn't work, and this is why it did or didn't work, and you kind of build that into your mindset. I think also doing a lot of certifications has opened a few doors for me in the roles that I've done to train other people internally, to coach other people and to mentor other people as well, and be able to leverage some of that content and some of that learning, not just from the certification itself, but also from being able to use it and being able to see other people use them as well.
I think that's I think that's one of the biggest things that I've found when I speak to people about certifications, particularly the people who are on the fence or don't really see the value or the point in it. I think they would have either gone to some sort of what you call it, like a 3-day course and then do a certification at the end of it. But actually what they probably wouldn't have done is figure out, how can I apply this in my role? Because as we all know, business analysis is not as simple as, right, take what's in the textbook and apply it to your job. You got to think about the context that you're in, the stakeholders you're working with, the organization, the way they do things. And so some people kind of go into it with that frame of mind saying, right, in our company, we do it this way. So that means that what I'm learning here is irrelevant. But actually what you're touching on is actually the opposite way of saying, take what you've learned and then figure out, how can I be creative in my approach to it within the context that I work in.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you go and do a business analysis certification, it's not relevant if you can't use it. You might have learned something and it might slip away. But if you're using it and you're using it constantly, then you're gaining more than just a certification. There, you're gaining tools and skills and experience.
Absolutely. So on that topic, then, are there any common, I guess, misconceptions that you hear that people have about like getting certifications and why they shouldn't get one?
Yeah, and I sometimes fall into this trap. I think sometimes when I talk about certification, there's probably saw me smile there, because you often think, and I sometimes talk like this as well, that certification is something that you learn. Now, okay, you learn towards a certification. Obviously, certification is the thing you obtain by exam or submission or whatever. But I don't think that's where it stops. And this might have come across in some of the other things I've answered, but you need to share it. Your learning's only just the beginning of what you're doing, and by sharing it, you get that kind of two-way conversation, don't you? That allows you to be able to interact with that content that you've been learning in a different way, because you're able to learn from it or learn from other people. I think it's a bit like Einstein's simplicity quote. If you're kind of talking to somebody about what you've learned and trying to share them technique or concept or whatever, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough, and so it allows you to be able to get to that level.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. So you've done both IIBA certifications and the BCS certifications. Are there any particular one that you feel holds more weight? Are they equal? What's your thoughts on that? Because I've never really you're probably one of the few people who've done both. I usually see people who've done one or the other. But you've kind of pursued both avenues there. From your experience, what are your thoughts on IIBA versus the BCS argument?
Yeah, I often get asked that question. Yeah, maybe that's a misconception as well, that you should just do one. But I think relevance is best. So I've done both. I felt like the BCS diplomas that I did, they were really easy to engage with. It comes from a different body as well, which has kind of roles that cross over IT and business change, and that's quite good, because you're able to sort of see, how does my skill set translate across a range of roles. And then equally, you've got IIBA, which is more focused on business analysis, and doesn't really kind of consider that cross-role element within the wider body of kind of content. But what it does have is a completely different concept, which is more focused on that flexibility. And that's also a good thing, because as you start to play around a little bit with how you want to do business analysis in those different contexts, like you talked about a moment ago, Tande, then it gives you that ability to think about it within the structure of that concept. The BA-BOK is essentially a concept model, really, for task-based business analysis. It links to things like techniques and stakeholders and all sorts of different things. And you can think, well, actually, at any one given time in any one situation, I might be doing multiple tasks. I mean, probably not all at the same time. I'm not a multitasker, but you might be in the realm of a number of things all at once, and you can kind of consider all those different things. So for me, there's absolute benefit in doing both. Why not? And combining both, which is exactly what I do. I don't think in one particular scenario, I'm going to leverage my thoughts around IIBA here, or I'm going to leverage my thoughts around how BCS would kind of sort of structure this concept. I've kind of made my own concept in between those, and from my experiences as well, and I think that can only be beneficial.
Yeah. No, I love that. Very, very good point. Very diplomatic answer as well. I'll give you hats off on that one. But I love it, because it goes to show that it's not, the focus isn't the actual certification, it's what you get out of it, and also what you are looking for as far as your development and progression goes.
Yeah, relevance.
So, yeah, absolutely. So for the business analyst who's listening to this, and they've got years of experience, X number of years, whatever that is, and they feel fairly competent in what they do, but they don't have any certifications, would you encourage them to do certifications, and why?
I think that depends, doesn't it? So, like I said, certifications is the tip of an iceberg, and they might be doing all that stuff underneath, which is a whole load of learning. And there's a clear cost for certifications. It might be something that they don't get that return on investment for. So I think it really depends. What I would say is that it doesn't harm anyone to learn. So if you've got the opportunity to do that, and that's something that you feel like you want to try out, then why not? Why would you not do it? But I don't think that for everyone it's the right thing. I think there's a number of individuals that kind of get to a certain. This is what I get from conversations. They get to a certain point in their careers and they're a bit skeptical about certifications. Why do I need a certification? I've done this for years and years, and or maybe I don't agree with some of the ways in which certain bodies of knowledge have been written. And I think that's fine. Stay skeptical. Continue to criticize them. It only keeps that content on its toes. Yeah, and that content should evolve and it should be relevant and develop. And I think having those perspectives is great. It can only be a good thing for those bodies to continue to develop from. I think when I first engaged with kind of more formal business analysis content, it was probably about 10 years ago, and it's changed massively since then. And my perception of the role has changed since then as well. But there's been a lot of development of business analysis as well in that period. So I think that's fine, personally. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, if you don't want to, you don't have to do it. Out of curiosity, what's your perception of the role of business analysis now then?
So I think it's changed a little bit. I think what we've got now is rather than having a role for business analysis, is we have a skill set. So there's lots of different roles and lots of different organisational structures that can be put in place for IT and change type organisations. And so I think that we've got lots of roles doing business analysis. And perhaps this is kind of where I think certifications may evolve as well. But I think that we might need to think about how business analysis gets delivered, all the business analysis concepts and tools and techniques gets delivered to them in their own role certifications, or in their own bodies of knowledge. But I do think there's still a role there for a business analysis expert, someone that can champion good business analysis, support these roles when they're doing it, because it seems like a lot of roles are undertaking that at the minute. So yeah, that's kind of my perception. Whereas, and that might come from general evolution of roles that seems to have taken place. Well, that might just be my own personal experience in the roles that I've undertaken. But I think the lines have blurred now on who does business analysis, and I think that's a good thing, personally.
Okay, really.
Yeah, absolutely. But equally, there needs to be somebody there that's championing the right way to do it, and making sure that it's following a method and an approach that is going to deliver good business analysis as well. And I'm just talking there about tools and techniques, but that's not the whole picture, because part of that is those personal qualities. I always say that we're a people profession first. We can do fantastic analysis, right? So you might have somebody that's an expert in business analysis, but they can't talk to people. I don't think we've got any of those people in our community. But theoretically you could have that. But then the reason why business analysis is successful is because we're delivering it to people, and it's those personal qualities that enable us to do that. So if you've got individuals that are beginning to do business analysis in their roles but don't have those personal qualities, there's a whole other area there to be thinking about around what most people call soft skills, but I think are the hard skills. To kind of develop and to nurture as well. So I think that there's definitely a role there to make sure that we're thinking about all those things, not just the analysis side, but how we deal with people as well, and bringing those together to deliver that success.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. It's really interesting that you shared that perspective. But yeah, I really agree with. I do work with people even who I look at and I think, man, this person is such a good BA. But by that I mean they're very good at doing business analysis. They may not actually be a BA by title, and that's spanned all across from very technical roles, developers, testers, to non-IT roles, marketing or finance, XYZ. But they're just really, really good at the approach of business analysis. What it reminded me of is actually the book. I can't remember. I think it's Yulia Korosenko, if I remember her name correctly. But her book is called that. I think it's something like Business Analysis as a Mindset or something like that. It's a really eye-opening book that speaks to that business analysis. To your point, is not about tools and techniques alone. It's actually more about the way you just think and the way you approach just the work you're doing, and then the role of business analysis. She kind of goes into the role of it, but that whole book for me is what really helped me when I was really starting my journey to really, I guess, learn to think business analysis rather than just learn to do business analysis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I guess, if you come across those individuals that are doing a bit of business analysis and you come to it with that mindset of, well, why are you doing that? That's my role. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Is that really better than nurturing them and helping to do it better, to get better outcomes? I don't think so.
No. So coming back to the volunteering work that you're doing with IIBA and BCS, do you mind touching on that and what that looks like, what that means, and what is it that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So, been on the board for IIBA now for the last nearly 4 years. It will be in February.
Right.
So, initially, I started as a membership relationship director, corporate memberships. IIBA around that time had a remodel, so they were harmonising their global membership with the chapter membership. It's that kind of concept of corporate UK memberships doesn't exist anymore. So there's a lot of change, I think, we went through around harmonising that. So that was kind of quite a key focus of the role. We also had COVID during that period of time. So the way in which we did events changed a lot, I think, over that. Probably for the better. I think we can get to more people now remotely. But it's great to be involved with the IIBA team. Honestly, the amount of credit that I could possibly give in words to the team at IIBA is, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it through words only. But it's excellent, the offering that we have collectively. My role now is operations director. So there's again a lot of things that are changing behind the scenes. So it's more involved in making sure that we're moving the way in which we do all of the stuff. But that kind of swan underneath, paddling underneath the water, do all that stuff in the right way going forward. So not quite as busy as when it was harmonisation time, but
Right.
very, very important stuff, I think, for the future of IIBA and the volunteers that we've got. BCS as well. So over the last couple of years, I've been involved in BCS Advanced Diploma Assessments. Honestly, it's super exciting getting an Advanced Diploma Assessment come through. You get to read through what somebody else has been doing in their job. I don't know. I'm nerdy when it comes to that, but you learn so much what other people have experienced. I absolutely love reading through those, and more recently started to do oral exams as well, which I'm finding really interesting. You start to see those people that are, more often, I guess, probably towards the start of their journeys, and the future of business analysis looks great, I think. And when you're assessing these individuals, and you just think, it's going to be great.
Yeah. And how did these opportunities come by to you then? Are these kind of official roles that you apply for? Do you get approached, or are you always looking for volunteers to kind of step in and do this type of work on both camps? What does that look like?
So on the IIBA side, I think we have a page on our website that opens us up. We're entirely run by volunteers. It's all in people's spare time. So I would hope that other people may look at that and want to get involved, however much they can get involved. But that was asking to be involved. And whilst I think I may have asked a couple of times to be involved in BCS stuff, once I realised that was volunteering, I was approached as well. So I don't know whether it was me asking or me being approached. I couldn't really tell you how that came to fruition, but I'm just glad that it did, because I enjoy that. I enjoy both parts of that. Just making sure I find the time for it all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for someone who's, I was asking now because, there may be people who are interested in this, but just maybe weren't aware that these opportunities exist. I mean, I knew you could volunteer for these, I guess, IB and BCS, but I didn't know the kind of the scope of work and the breadth of things that you get to do as a volunteer. I kind of thought, you volunteer on very, very small pieces, but it sounds like you're doing real pieces of work, and the team that you're working with are doing kind of really key changes in those two camps. But you're all volunteers, right? So it's quite an interesting setup. Is there a requirement before you volunteer that you become certified with them?
No, there's not for IOBA. I don't think so with BCS. I don't know, actually. Probably, I guess, if you're doing assessments.
Oh yeah.
I'm not as close to that as I am to the IOBA stuff. Obviously, I'm on the board for IOBA UK, so I've a bit more knowledge about how it all works, how it all operates. But yeah, there's no requirement for volunteering with IOBA UK. You don't even have to be an IOBA member to volunteer.
I see. So yeah, open to anyone who's interested in business analysis and to get involved in something. You don't need to be certified or to have an advanced diploma before you step in.
Yeah.
And also, I'm assuming you don't have to have a minimum of X number of years of experience to be able to volunteer. As long as you're willing to put in the time and the effort, the door's open for you. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly true from the IOBA front. Like I said, I'm not sure requirements around the BCS.
No, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. And so, how are you? I guess managing all these different hats. It's like I said. I mean, it sounds like you're very, very invested in this career field, not just from your personal career journey and getting certifications, but also from volunteering for both IIB and BCS, and then really engaging with the community in that front, and also doing other things outside of those umbrellas that I've mentioned, such as on conferences or jumping on a podcast with me today, kind of thing. How are you kind of managing all of these different hats and things on your plate?
I'm managing it well, I think, is probably the answer. Well enough, I think. I think in terms of if I'm doing work for British Computer Society, obviously I might do assessments in my spare time. If I'm examining, it's taking time off work to do that. For IBA, that's all in spare time as well. I think it's kind of try and put some time aside every week to look at progressing some of that stuff. So really, it's just a bit of planning. There's not really much more to it than that. But I think when things come to fruition, it makes it also worthwhile.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing it well for sure. I will echo those words for you. So Sam, thank you. First of all, thanks so much for coming on to the show today. I really appreciate the words of wisdom that you shared with us today. I definitely want to acknowledge the effort that you've put in, the work that you've put in to get in your career, but also to get certified and really build up your reputation and also your knowledge and skill in business analysis. I've got a couple of questions before we fully close off. The first one is for people who would be interested to connect with you, whether it's to do with picking your brain about certifications or maybe even finding out more about these volunteering opportunities. Where's the best place for them to do that?
LinkedIn, always on LinkedIn is the best way. It's the only place you'll find me, I suppose.
Yeah, and it usually is.
Yeah. If it's volunteering, then go to ibauk.org and you'll find the volunteering information on there.
great. No, great. I will put those links in the show notes for people to check them out. So on the concept of certifications, if there is one thing that you could change about certifications, whether that's the way that they're taught, who they're targeted to, what would that be?
I think, and this kind of lines up to my thoughts around that there's lots of roles doing business analysis. I think, would I change it? I don't know if I'd change it, but there's a few things that I guess I've recognised. We've got a lot of emerging technology and roles and sort of spaces, I guess, that are impacting business analysis. There's AI, there's software as a service in cloud. Most of us have worked on something like that. Data science as well is quite a big area. So I think that would I change it? I don't know, but I'd certainly be aware of those areas and trying to think about, well, how does business analysis apply in those areas, and what do I need to know in those areas to be a successful BA?
Yeah. I do agree with that, and I like that. I like that one. And the final question today, Sam, is just thinking about this your career journey, the knowledge that you've been accumulating. You've really kind of shown this appetite to not just clock in, do your job, and clock out. It's almost this very, very invested into, I'm a professional BA and I'm taking my profession seriously. This is not just something what I do to get paid. Thinking about from that perspective, how would you encourage other BAs to also consider that kind of approach of kind of saying, you know what, let me invest in my career, whether that's through certifications or not, whatever that looks like, or whether that's volunteering in IIBA, BCS, or all the other forums that are out there. What would you say to them to then, I guess, shift that mindset from I do my job to, you know what, I want to be more invested into this?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I guess it would have to depend on what perspective they've got. But I think that some of the barriers that I've seen other people have to certifications have been they can't see that tangible benefit at the end of it. And so my instant reaction to that is, well, what about the intangibles? What about the confidence that you might get? What about the ability to structure all of that mess that you've got in your experience into something that you can leverage a little bit better? What about being able to do things a bit more flexibly? What about the being able to coach and mentor other people and to learn from that process as well, that two-way learning that I mentioned? What about all those things that you can't tangibly measure but are intangible things that will impact you quite a lot? So I guess it depends on the perspective that they're coming back. If one of those perspectives is I can't see the benefit for it, then maybe think about the intangibles.
Love that. And that's what we do on projects, right? We don't just focus on the quantifiable benefits either. We look at everything,
Exactly.
and sometimes it's the intangibles that we shout about. So kind of do that to yourself effectively in your career and your journey.
Intangible business case. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, Sam, I've really enjoyed our conversation today, and you've definitely encouraged me to review the way I'm invested into my career as well, and figure out what other ways could I also be doing more, and not just kind of for my own personal gain, but just for the profession at large as well. And I'm sure those who've listened to you today are encouraged to do something, whatever that thing is. If it is certifications or not, it sounds like as long as they've got that continuous improvement mindset and approach, that's more important. So I really do appreciate your time today. Is there one final thought that you just want to leave with the listeners today based on what we've spoken about?
Not one final thought, but I think I just want to recognise, I want to say thank you first of all for inviting me on, and also to recognise that you are doing some of that intangible stuff through the podcast that you do, and to recognise yourself and pat yourself on the back for doing that and for learning from other people, and also enabling other people to learn from other people through your podcast. So thank you and well done.
I appreciate that, Sam. It's been an enjoyable journey.
It has been. Thank you, Glenda.